0900, the 26th of January. Captain Walpole and his flight deck crew of Speedbird 193 arrived for the briefing at Heathrow.
Right, we're back here.
We're back here.
Good morning, gentlemen. Morning.
The planner has all the information ready for this transatlantic flight.
Yes, I didn't say it wrong.
Okay, where are we going? New York today? Bravo.
Outside, the 10th production Concorde, Golf, Bravo, Oscar, Alpha, Delta, is prepared.
Well, it's only going to take 3 hours and 28 minutes, which is less than half the subsonic time. Drizzly departure out of here, perhaps a few lumps in the cloud. Clear above that. En route weather, in flight good. The Maritimes, the Canadian eastern seaboard's a bit miserable with snow. Into New York and that area, fair, yes. So it should be a nice ride. We have decided on the amount of fuel we wished to carry for the flight. We're carrying 91 tons of fuel, about 25,000 gallons. The system has now been triggered. We have decided how much fuel, and they'll be refueling it now. So when we get out to the aircraft, it should be well in hand.
The quantity of fuel varies according to the number of passengers carried and, most importantly, the nature of the weather forecast for the flight. Weather governs all flights, even those of Concorde. Captain Walpole, from his experience, has to assess the effect of the high-altitude winds, the weather at New York, and the weather at all alternative airports en route, which might, in an emergency, be needed. The decision to fly or not to fly is solely that of the captain.
Cat 3. I think we'll go.
The first-class luggage of the all-first-class Concorde is loaded as the owners sip champagne in the special departure lounge. Today, 73 of the 100 seats are occupied, a typical North Atlantic Concorde load.
Checking all the bits and pieces are all on board that we need.
It is now 9:40, 50 minutes to departure, as Bill Johnston, the flight engineer, makes his visual inspection of Alpha Delta to count the wings. Engine intakes clear, control locks off, nose wheel steering disconnected for towing. Most of Concorde's complex systems are monitored by the aircraft's many computers, though some parts are tested by more traditional methods. 10 o'clock. The passengers are boarding and the ground services are making final preparations for 193's departure. Above them, on the flight deck, Captain Brian Walpole and First Officer Christopher Orlebar begin the long litany of the pre-flight checks.
Checks, okay. Throttles.
Are idle.
Nav lights.
On.
Ground hydraulic checkout.
Is yell, and off.
Fuel heaters.
Auto.
Engine reset valves.
Shut.
Secondary air doors.
Auto.
Batteries.
On.
Heathrow Tower, Speedbird Concorde 193 is ready for start-up, Juliet 2.
Speedbird 193, roger, clear to start. The oceanic clearance is Sierra Whiskey.
At Heathrow, the weather is far from good, with low cloud, drizzle and fog. But for most of the transatlantic route, Concorde will fly far above the weather. Compressed air is used to start Concorde's engines.
Oh, very well done. Pressurize, please. And give it your clearance for starting number 3.
The ground engineer is in contact with the flight deck, and he signals that all is clear for an engine startup.
You have pressure on the right.
Thank you, sir. Okay then, Captain.
Yes.
Starting number 3 now.
As number 3 engine, always the first to be started on Concorde, runs up, Alpha Delta comes to life and flexes its hydraulic muscles. The time is 10:27, 3 minutes before pushback.
Okay, Chris. Okay, visor's coming down now.
The visor is really a streamlined, transparent heat shield, essential when the aircraft is in supersonic flight.
Heathrow ground, Speedbird Concorde 193, pushback, Juliet 2.
Speedbird 193, roger, there's TriStar pushback behind you at the moment. When he toes out, you're clear to push.
After the TriStar, Speedbird Concorde 193. Hello, ground.
The TriStar's in the way at the moment. As soon as he's clear, we'll push, so give me a call when you're ready for the brakes.
I will do that, thank you.
Only 2 of Concorde's engines are running, for all 4, even at idle power, could buckle the tractor's tow bar. Brakes off. It's exactly 10:30 as Speedbird 193 covers the first few yards of its 3,605-mile flight, which is scheduled to take just 3 hours and 28 minutes.
Just improved a bit, yeah.
The powerful tractor gently eases back the 177-ton aircraft. It is a tricky operation, rather like backing out of a congested car park in which every vehicle is worth £30 million. And Concorde, like humbler aircraft, has to take its place in the queue.
I don't know. You did say there were 9 before us as we started. At the moment, we're number 5.
Alpha Delta is towed clear of the parking area and is ready to take its place, number 5, in the queue for Heathrow's runway 28 left.
You are planning on stopping, Grant.
Brakes are going to park, Grant, and now at park.
10%.
The tractor is disconnected, the remaining 2 engines are started up. Concorde is now, in all respects, ready for flight.
Right, 4 and 1 engine started. Pushback checklist is now complete. After start checklist. Check nose wheel steering. 1, check. 2.
Okay, check.
Okay, right.
Continue. Nose 5.
Are they
The nose is drooped to aid visibility on takeoff.
Concorde 193, taxi 28 left. What's the viz?
Speedbird 193, the 28 left is 700 metres.
700 metres is well within British Airways minima for Concorde.
After start checklist is complete, sir.
Clear on the port side, yes.
Clear on the starboard.
Right. Okay, New York, here we come.
The visibility has slightly deteriorated. The controllers in the tower can now only track aircraft movements by radar and radio. But at 10:45 hours, Alpha Delta is cleared for New York.
Speedbird 193, clear takeoff. Wind is 160 at 5 knots. The runway visual range is 700 metres.
Speedbird Concorde 193, clear for takeoff.
A slight tailwind, so sharp call on rotate. 514, British Concorde just... Okay. Gentlemen, are we ready? 3, 2, 1, now. Speedbird 306 off, Scandinavian, line up and hold.
Airspeed building. ...100 knots.
Power check.
V1.
Decision speed. V1 is the point up to which the takeoff could safely be abandoned.
Rotate. V2.
A safe climbing speed. Concorde climbs at 5,000 feet a minute, clearing the low-lying stratus rain clouds. After leaving London, precisely 1 minute and 12 seconds after the start of the takeoff run, Concorde's 4 engines are throttled back and the reheat switched off for noise abatement.
1, noise.
Throttling.
Speedbird Concorde 193, 13205, good day.
Climbing now at 1,200 feet per minute at 250 knots, Concorde soon accelerates and the protective visor is raised.
Okay, nose and visor coming up now. Speed, okay.
As the aircraft accelerates towards supersonic flight, the flight engineer adjusts the changing trim by transferring fuel from the forward tanks to others in the rear.
Time yet. 53.5 going aft.
Okay, sir, fuel going back.
Go.
As the fuel is transferred, the aircraft's changing center of gravity or balance is displayed on this instrument. Concorde's fuel is used for many purposes.
It is also used for cooling of air conditioning, engine oil, electric oil, and also for the trim. That's the fuel pumps that we use and the fuel valves which we use for transferring the fuel from the back to the front of the airplane and also into the wing of the aircraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Captain Walpole. We're at 28,000 feet. We're just coming up to the Bristol Channel in 2 minutes' time with air traffic control clearance. We will be starting the acceleration phase of the flight. The object is to take Concorde through Mach 1, the speed of sound, not really a sound barrier at all, and then on up towards Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. To achieve that, we'll be applying full dry power to the engines, and then cutting in the afterburners in just 1 minute from now. Thank you.
At supersonic speeds, air friction heats and expands Concorde a total of 8 inches, as will be demonstrated by this small gap to the rear of the engineer's panel.
Okay, full power coming up. Inboard reheats, please. Followed by the outboard.
Okay, sir, they're in okay. Outboard selected, sir.
Lovely noise, that power price. Gorgeous.
25 tons of thrust from the 4 reheated Olympus engines smoothly accelerates Concorde through the mythical sound barrier.
It's coming up to Mach 1.
Okay.
Mach 1, speed of sound, and we're through.
Unconcernedly, Concorde's passengers sip their aperitifs, while the flight deck crew confirm Concorde's exact position by chart and radar. Land's End to the left, Ireland to the right.
The route now to the south of Ireland, and then turning onto the standard supersonic Great Circle track across the North Atlantic to a point 150 miles southeast of Gander in Newfoundland. From there, turning to the southwest, and running down some 80 miles off the coast of Canada, off the coast of Nova Scotia, and then off the Massachusetts coastline past Nantucket Island. And we should be arriving in New York in just under 3 hours from now. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy our lovely bird Concorde.
The efficiency of the engines is such that when flying supersonically, they are using fuel at a much lower rate than when in subsonic flight.
Climbing very willingly this morning. Cruise rating though. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just achieving Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, and with a fairly light wind today, we have a speed over the ocean of 1,340 miles an hour, 1,340 miles an hour, 23 miles in each and every minute, a mile in every 2 3/4 seconds. You're now traveling about 10% faster than the...
Explore advances in technology every day on the Discovery Channel.
Time in Newsweek spend a lot of time covering celebrities and covering movie stars and covering these escape fantasies where people vicariously think they can improve their life by reading about somebody in a glamorous position. U.S. News doesn't provide that sort of coverage. What we provide is information that is useful for you, how to manage your life. I mean, if you are genuinely interested in why Madonna's hot, we're not the right magazine for you. If you're worried about practical aspects you need for life management, then we're the right magazine for you. The unique thing about the U.S. News is that it gives you, on a weekly basis, the information to manage your finances, the best ways to invest your money, sort out the complex problems of educating your family, things that affect your health, things that affect your fitness, developing trends in the country. We think there's enough gossip out there. We are sticking to news you can use, the news that's important for you to manage your life. So I think based on what I've told you, you should be ready to get up and make the call, but just to give you a little additional incentive.
Call now, and you'll receive this AM/FM portable stereo radio free from U.S. News. A marvel of stereo technology. It comes complete with twin adjustable speakers for true stereo separation. You'll enjoy a full, rich sound and hours of listening pleasure wherever you go. Free from U.S. News.
If you look at a magazine as a very intelligent friend who comes over the house to talk to you, U.S. News is that intelligent friend.
To start your subscription, call 1-800-572-6100. You'll get 6 months of U.S. News at just 67 cents an issue. That's over 65% off the cover price. And the radio is yours free. Pay in 4 easy installments of just $4.97. You can even use your Visa or MasterCard. Call now, 1-800-572-6100.
Take it home, drive it around the block, kick the tires, and if you don't like it, send it back to us and we'll give you your money back.
ESP, stigmata, reincarnation, and clairvoyance. Do they really exist? Meet the people who have experienced these unusual phenomena as Arthur C. Clarke and the Discovery Channel venture into the world of strange powers. From clever con artists to true believers, gain a new understanding and appreciation of the mysteries of our world.
Hey, Jimmy!
Hey,
how's it going, huh?
Did you see where this guy, Irving Langmuir, won the Nobel Prize for surface chemistry?
So what? I mean, who cares, huh?
I care. And my company uses some of this guy Langmuir's ideas. If it wasn't for him, I might not have a job.
He's important, the guy in the lab. But you guys are important, too. The guys on the line. Here's to productivity. It's what America's all about.
A temperature sensor on the nose of the aircraft now records 119 degrees centigrade, and the gap in the engineer's panel is now much wider, for Concorde has expanded the 8 inches. What is this remarkable aircraft like to fly?
It's got very, very good flying controls, superb instrumentation. It has different characteristics in its subsonic performance from a 707 or a 747, and in that difference lies the difficulty of converting to it. But once that's been mastered, it's a beautiful aeroplane to fly.
Concorde's loyal passengers would agree, for it has more than held its share of the shrinking first-class transatlantic market.
The main attraction is it's much more pleasant to fly just that fast, but the thing that appeals to me is we don't have jet lag afterwards. And if you fly normal subsonic for about a week, you're incapacitated.
Fly once every 2 or 3 months.
Is the extra cost worthwhile?
Very much so. It's wonderful savings of time and energy as well.
But will the British taxpayer have to continue to subsidise Concorde?
The government have asked British Airways to take on the manufacturer support costs, which hitherto government has paid. Now, provided British Airways can do that and remain in profit with the aeroplane, then it will continue. So given a flexible and realistic government position, and I have every reason to believe that is exactly what position government will be taking, we see a great future for the aeroplane. It will and must continue to make money for British Airways. It's got to stand on its 2 economic feet. It's got to stand on its revenue and its cost feet. And provided it can do those and take on these support costs, and I believe it can, then the aeroplane technically has got 15 years of life. It won't wear out, but it must make money, and it is doing that now, and I have every reason to believe it will continue to do so.
Okay, the fuel, Captain, was 50...
Concorde's hard-won technology is unequalled. The complex computer-controlled variable engine intakes, for example.
This panel is the most important piece of equipment on the aircraft. The whole aircraft is designed around the intakes. If you can imagine, we are flying at Mach 2, and the air going into the engine now is controlled by 8 computers, 4 in use and 4 standby. If the Americans had had this, their P-1 would be flying much faster than it does now.
This advanced technique enables Concorde to span the Atlantic, a feat its one-time rival, the Russian Tupolev 144, could never have achieved. Concorde's drag-producing supersonic shock waves are most elegantly used in the engine intakes as a means of boosting thrust. Flight 193 is now 1 hour and 20 minutes out of London.
For the geographers, we're just north of 50 degrees north, and we're coming up to 30 degrees west, which means we're not quite halfway across the ocean bit of the crossing. We're travelling at Mach 2.02, which is giving us a ground speed of 1,121 knots, just about 1,300 miles an hour in round figures.
At which speed the passengers take déjeuner. On the menu, smoked quail and pâté de foie gras, entrecôte maître d'hôtel, tender young duckling with apricots, or trout grenobloise with buttered broccoli spears, carrots and jeté promenade potatoes, or salade César with desserts and cheeses, and of course champagne, Bordeaux, Chablis, liqueurs, and Jamaican cigars, all thrown in free with each 1,200 quid single ticket. Off Cape Cod, Massachusetts, the present-day Concorde, Alpha Delta, begins deceleration from Mach 2. As the aircraft enters American airspace, contact is made with the New York air traffic controllers.
Concorde 193, heavy New York Center, good morning, squawk guide 10.
New York Speedbird Concorde 193, flight level 520, descending, request cross Winnie, flight level 390 or above.
Concorde descends from the threshold of space to the more familiar, but never commonplace world of subsonic aviation. Although Concorde can be landed automatically, in good visibility it is landed manually. As Captain Walpole flies the aircraft, its first officer, Christopher Orlebar, explains the technique.
With the speed now down to 250 knots, the attitude of the aircraft prevents vision ahead over the nose, so it and the visor are lowered. The weather is good, but nevertheless we're given directions from the New York radar controller to space our arrival on final approach a comfortable distance from preceding aircraft.
Okay, not splitting the SSBs or batteries, Captain. Thank you. For landing 52.8, sir.
Okay, autopilot coming out, gentlemen. Fair bit of crosswind.
Although the aircraft is now being manually flown, the speed is controlled by auto throttles down to 40 feet above the ground. Unlike conventional aeroplanes, Concorde experiences increasing drag with decreasing speed. This drag is generated by vortices, which form over each wing to give lift as the speed decreases. When the aircraft lands, you'll see the smoke from the towers whisk into the vortices.
Four green.
Indicating undercarriage, including a tail wheel, down and locked.
Radar is going to stand by now, sir.
Rise engaged.
Finally, the nose is lowered to the landing position. The aircraft is guided to the runway using the ILS, Instrument Landing System. Two transmitters on the ground give pilot descent and position information. By 500 feet above the ground, the autothrottles have stabilized the aircraft's speed at 157 knots. The engineer calls the heights from a very accurate radio altimeter. Remember to watch for the vortices on touchdown.
30, 20, 15.
The engines are selected to give reverse thrust, whilst the pilots descend a further 17 feet to land the nose wheel.
100 knots.
As the aircraft slows, the brakes are applied and the engines are switched back to forward idle thrust.
The crew, now an hour younger than when they left London, complete their ever-essential checks, receive taxiing directions, and find their way through the maze of concrete and tarmac of the busy JFK International Airport, New York.
Gentlemen, Captain Walpole on the ground here at John F. Kennedy. Time just 9:30. The forecast flight time, you may recall, was 3 hours and 28 minutes. The achieved flight time for the 3,500 miles, 3 hours and 26 minutes. Average speed over 1,000 miles an hour, and just as an extra little goodie, On the left-hand side, as we taxi in now, you'll see our sister Concorde taxiing out bound for London with a flight time of 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Gate 1, through Alpha, after he is gone.
Okay, we're right on the outer.
Correct.
Clear, 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 and we've been cleared to cross. So we'll go all the way down, and I'll do mine for PA. Lovely. Right. Tell them about that.
Okay, do you want to press that white button behind you?
Sure. Press the pink one.
What?
The pink one's the right one.
You haven't press
the pink one.
Could you press the PA button?
And further, last comment from myself, the 747, which departed London just 10 minutes ahead of us, also bound for New York, is very nearly, but not quite,